This math summary focuses on calculating the volume using centimetres cubed and metres cubed. We're used to working in area, and area is when we multiply two different directions, the measurements, and come up with how much space is inside a shape. For example, my little square here. I'm doing 1 centimetre times 1 centimetre. It's 1 centimetre squared. Now we say squared, but we put a little 2. It's a great reminder that we're actually multiplying two different directions together, and it works only with flat two-dimensional shapes. But what about if we have a three-dimensional shape, like here? This is a tiny little cube. It's got 1 centimetre times 1 centimetre times 1 centimetre in height. It's our third measurement. So we're talking, instead of squares, we're now talking in centimetres cubed. And I put a little 3 to represent the word cubed. It's how many of those little cubes would fit inside a shape. It's talking about 3 measurements that are multiplying. That's a great reminder, putting the 3. It's also something that we use with three-dimensional shapes. So whereas we were looking at a flat shape like this, where we might have 10 centimetres times 10 centimetres, so I can work out that this is 100 centimetres squared because it's a flat shape, and it's also looking at two measurements that are multiplying. But when I get to more than those, like this, that's 100 centimetres squared, I could add on another layer, and I could use addition to keep adding. That's now 200 centimetres squared, 300 centimetres squared, 400 centimetres squared, and I could keep adding. But maybe there's another way that we can do it instead, and that's multiplying those 3 different measurements. It's going to give us the same answer as continually adding, but it's more efficient strategy. So for my cube, I could have 10 little centimetres across here times 10 little centimetres this way. That's my base, 10 times 10, 100 centimetres squared. But now I've got my height to multiply as well, and that's 10 going up.
In 5 minutes, you've learned something new. Imagine that times 200. All those core concept lessons are on our site right now, and you can grab the link below. Now let's keep going.
So I've got 10 times 10 is 100 centimetres squared, but times 10 is now 1,000 centimetres cubed. There's 1,000 of those little tiny cubes inside this larger cube. So I'm always thinking about multiplying 2 measurements if it's squared, but 3 measurements if it's cubed. And 2 measurements is for my flat two-dimensional shape. 3 measurements is for my cubed, and I'm working out the volume. But we don't just measure in centimetres, we could be measuring in metres like this. We could have a 1 metre times 1 metre square, and we'll have 1 metre squared. But we could have a 1 metre times 1 metre, that's still 1 metre squared, but times the height of 1 metre. Now that's 1 metre cubed. It looks a lot like my cube. So we can work out how this might be something that can help us calculate the volume of a range of shapes, like this one here. I'm looking at my measurements and I notice that all of them are in centimetres, so this is calculating centimetres cubed. We need to use a formula, something we write out every single time that's going to remind us of what we're doing. We use volume equals L for length, W for width, and H for height. They're all capitals. We're used to saying length times width, my long side, times my wide side, but now we're multiplying the height as well. So we write V for volume equals L times W times height, length times width times height. 10 is my length, 5 is my width, and 5 is also my height. And when I multiply those 3 measurements, I get 250 centimetres cubed. Notice I didn't forget to put the little 3 because I'm talking about 3 measurements that multiplied, and it's a 3-dimensional shape. So we can think about volume in 2 different ways. It's quite interesting that we have volume is length times width times height, but don't forget that the length times the width is actually area. So we could Use that to calculate the volume. Volume is my area times my height. If you know the area of a shape, you just need to multiply it by how high it is to work out the volume. So volume can be used for centimeters cubed and meters cubed. Don't forget, it's always 3 measurements that we're multiplying, and it's to do with 3-dimensional shapes just like this cube.